Coverage of the new bipartisan shutdown deal continues. Simone D'Alba is here with live reaction from Virginia lawmakers. Simone.
Allison, thank you. Throughout the morning, we've heard from lawmakers in our region who are disappointed in the so-called Democratic defectors, including Senator Tim Kane, who stands accused of surrendering the party's leverage in regards to health care. Here's Senator Kane in his own words. Take a listen.
I got the first good night's sleep last night that I've gotten since October 1 because I wasn't worried about being able to look Capitol Police in the eye when I walked in, or what a furloughed federal worker would say to me at church, or what somebody would say to me about their SNAP benefits.
Joining me to discuss now is Virginia Congressman Representative James Walkinshaw to talk more about, how we got to this point, where things go from here. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the bipartisan bill that went through the Senate. So without any guarantee Republicans will extend expiring health care subsidies, do you think your Democratic colleagues in the Senate, including Senator Tim Kane, made the right call? What's your take on it?
Well, I have tremendous respect for Senator Kane, and I applaud his work to get some provisions in the agreement to give federal employees some temporary protections. But ultimately, for me, I disagree with the outcome. It doesn't go far enough for me. It does nothing to truly address the healthcare affordability crisis that we face, and it doesn't give federal workers and federal programs the longer-term protections and stability that I was looking for out of the deal.
Congressman, are you a no vote at this point when it gets to the House?
Yes, I'll be a no vote unless there's some change. I think in the House, Democrats are going to be fighting tomorrow to get a vote on an extension of the ACA tax credits before a vote on the Senate budget deal. If that doesn't happen, I'll be a no vote.
Okay, I'm curious, moving this measure through the House, we're going to see some political arm twisting, no doubt, some negotiating. Many Democrats like yourself are saying, look, we're not going to support this. We're a flat no on this. Along with some hardline Republicans as well also saying that. I mean, where here can you concede? What can you give? What should people watching this understand about this upcoming vote?
Well, there have been a couple of Republicans who initially expressed skepticism about the deal. What often happens when you hear a Republican expressing skepticism about something, President Trump will call them, and it doesn't take long for them to flip their position. A couple of Republican members have already done this. So, Speaker Johnson will be scrambling. He can only afford to lose 2 Republican votes, and he's working to do that. Look, typically when President Trump tells congressional Republicans to jump, they ask how high, and I expect that's what we'll see tomorrow.
What are you willing to compromise to make a deal here? What would you tell our viewers?
Yeah, so at the beginning, before the shutdown, House Democrats and Senate Democrats put together a proposal that would have funded the government, avoided the shutdown, canceled some of the health care cuts, extended the ACA premium tax credits, given federal workers some protections. That was our baseline position. That's the bill that I supported. And from that, I recognize if there had been a real negotiation and conversation in the House, I would need to compromise. For me, I would have accepted an extension of the ACA tax credits and protections for federal workers in the form of preventing the so-called rescissions packages we've seen, where Trump claws back federal funding and shuts down agencies, longer-term job protections for federal workers. I would have settled for just those 2 things.
I got one more question, two, I should say, real quick. How do you respond? People are saying Democrats have completely given up their leverage, right? Senate Democrats. I know you're not going to speak out too much against the party as a whole, but have they made your job a lot more difficult as you take a look at this upcoming vote? What would you say?
Well, look, for me, I never saw the shutdown as leverage. I certainly saw it as an opportunity to start a conversation about healthcare and hopefully get an outcome that would prevent premiums from skyrocketing. And I'm really disappointed. I'll be disappointed if we get through this week and that doesn't happen. But I'm going to continue that fight into December when that Senate vote is scheduled. I'm going to press Speaker Johnson to have a similar vote here in the House. And if we don't win it in December, I'm going to continue that fight into next year. And if need be, we'll take it to the ballot box, because I think the American people want to see us address this healthcare affordability crisis.
I got to ask you frankly here as we wrap our interview, looking back, has the shutdown been worth it?
Well, look, I don't think a shutdown is ever worth it. I didn't want to see a shutdown, but if one side, and this is the posture Republicans, especially in the House, have taken, and Donald Trump told them at the beginning, don't deal with the Democrats, right? I don't feel any responsibility to accept any proposal that Republicans come up with that doesn't address the needs of my constituents in my district, and that's what we've seen in the House thus far. So I didn't like the shutdown, didn't want to see the shutdown. I don't want to see another shutdown when this CR expires on January 30th, if it passes the House this week. But there has to be a bipartisan negotiation. My vote is my tool to protect my constituents, and I'm going to use it to do that now and moving forward.
Well, let's get through this next vote, because to think that we could be back in this situation again at the end of January is, I would assume, traumatic for some people to be hearing at home right now. Virginia Representative James Walkinshaw, certainly appreciate your time. Thank you for the conversation. We'll check back in with you after those votes.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Allison.